we've been asked to do a few technical videos. We'll do a proper technical one on the caravan at a later time, but this one we'll do some stuff about charging EVs. I take it that a lot of the people that have been following along either don't drive EVs or are very new to EVs, so we'll give you a bit of technical detail on how we go about charging the cars. Okay, so the first thing that governs how fast you can charge your car is how much power you can get out of the wall or wherever you are. On our trip and all across Australia, you can find a lot of these things. This is a 32 amp 3-phase socket. This can supply up to 22 kilowatts of power, and whether or not you can get that into the car depends on what kit you've got with you and what car you've got and all those sorts of things. So the first thing that controls it is how much power we can get out of the wall. Second thing that controls it is what we use to connect that to the car, or that car. And the third thing is what the car can handle on the other end. So this is one of the gadgets that connects the plug to the wall, plug to the car, sorry. This is a cones or a cons, depends on who you talk to, how you pronounce it. This cost me about, I think it cost me $700 or $800. I think they're a little bit more than that these days. But yeah, it's been invaluable. It basically takes any of these 32 amp 3-phase plugs and turns it into a charge port for your car. This is what I generally use when I'm at home. You don't need this to charge for it at home, but it's what I tend to use. So this guy, this can transfer up to 22 kilowatts, so it can take the full power out of that and feed it into the car if the car was able to take it. This car, the Model 3, is not able to take the full 22 kilowatts. You can only take 11 kilowatts when charging from AC, which is what this thing does. The Atto, that can only use one of the phases, so this can only charge at 7 kilowatts off of the same bit of kit. So yeah, I'll plug it in and I'll show you how it operates. So this has got the cones plugged into the wall, and on the cones we've got a few settings down here. I can adjust how many amps it's going to draw. So at the moment it's set to draw 32 amps, which is the full capacity of what the plug is. But I can dial that down 6, 10, 15, 20 or 32. And I can also set that in the car as well. So to plug it into the car, or to make it charge the car, we just plug it in like that. Has a little bit of a think. The little blue flashing light means that it's communicating. The green flashing light means that it's charging. And the car is it sort of treats the power supply nicely, and it's slowly ramping up. You can see here that it's up to 2 and a bit kilowatts of charging, sorry, and that'll pull all the way up to it'll go all the way up to 11. But it's just slowly ramping it up so that in case if it's connected to a generator or something, it doesn't shut it down. And there we go, all the way up to 11. Oh, it's going to pull 12. So, we've got a reasonably high voltage, supply voltage, so that's what's going on. Yeah, so that's the cones. That take what, 4 or 5 hours to go from dead flat to full. So it's not what you call a fast charger, but it's not too bad. Okay, so next let's have a look at the same process with the Atto. They've got a funny little cover thing, but that's all right. I always forget to put it in. So yeah, we just plug it in. We'll come over, we'll have a look at the charger. It's ramped up a lot faster than the Tesla did, but that's pulling 7 kilowatts essentially from the power supply. That's because it's only drawing on one phase, so it's taking a full 32 amps off of one phase. So the cones is quite a good road trip accessory, because you can plug into those things wherever you like. And as you can see, it's got a reasonably long cable on it, but sometimes that plug is miles away from where you can park your car. So another really good pro tip is to is to bring a 32 amp 3-phase extension cable along with you. This one's good for the full 22 kilowatts, and it's quite long, it's about 10 metres long. So that lets us plug in where we can't get the car close to the power point. Sometimes when you see one of these things and you think it's a 32 amp 3-phase plug, and it's actually not, it's actually a 20 amp. So the 20 amp, instead of having a little groove in the bottom like that, has a flat bit on the bottom like this. I can't actually demonstrate this working here because I don't have a 20 amp socket. But what this little gadget here does is it has a 20 amp input on this end. It's got a breaker in here so that we can't pull too much out of here. It's got a 16 amp breaker, and then it's got a 32 amp socket on the bottom. So what that means is that we can plug the cones, for example, into here, and because the Tesla can only charge at 11 kilowatts, it doesn't bother. I'll still get a full 11 kilowatts charge out of a 20 amp socket in exactly the same way as I could out of a 32 amp socket. I should just add, I wouldn't say that this is an essential road trip item. It's probably a little bit excessive, but we wanted to take a lot of backup, so we did take this with us. We didn't use it. We were going to use it at Pardue Station because the first few sockets we found were only 20 amps, but then we ended up finding a 32 amp, so we used that instead. The next one we want to talk about is the Magic Blue Box. Those of us who followed Atto across the Nullarbor last year may be a little bit familiar with this thing. We don't own this, we borrowed it. I'll just fire it up. But what this thing can do is it can take a full 32 amp, or the full 22 kilowatts AC out of one of these sockets, and it is basically a portable DC charger. So it provides DC charging to the car. And while that's just firing up, you can see here it's got slightly different plugs on it. It's got a couple of communications ports, it's got an earth, and it's got a positive and negative DC supply to the car. And when we plug that in, this will get a bit rowdy. You plug that in, it does this little communications thing. So it's sitting there with a blue light, it's happy, it's ready to go. I press the start button, and it has a bit of a think. It fires up, the car's making clicky noises, and we start charging the car at the full 20 kilowatts. So because the Magic Blue Box is taking the AC and turning it into a DC charging current, when we plug it into the Atto, the Atto can also get, press start, the Atto can also get a full 20 kilowatts of charge rate out of that blue box. So that's the Magic Blue Box that allows us to charge reasonably fast where there is no fast DC chargers. You don't really need one of these. If you were doing a bit of a slower lap than us, you wouldn't need one. And in about 6 months' time, you won't really need it either, because pretty much the fast DC network will be finished all the way around Australia. I certainly wouldn't recommend that anybody goes out and buys one of these for a road trip. I would talk to Tokwa, and with a donation to Tokwa, you'll be able to borrow one of these as well, and away you go. So the next one is this little gadget down here. This came with the Tesla when I bought it. I don't think they do come with the Tesla anymore, but they're $550. And what you get is one of these, preferably without knots in it. You get this little gadget, and this little gadget that connects to the wall. I'll show you that in a second. This gadget connects to the car. So when you buy one of these, it comes with these two little tails. So one of them is a standard 10 amp tail, and the other one's a 15 amp tail. Your 10 amp tail, we'll use that one first. We just plug that straight into there, and then we stick it into a 10 amp power socket, like so. Hopefully it comes on with green lights. Didn't come on with green lights, I'll go and turn the switch. So with an extension cord that's actually plugged in on the other end, we can plug that in and we get green lights. Flashes up nice and green, solid, all good. This thing's got a little button on it. When I press the little button, opens up the charge port. I can plug that in and it does its little synchronization thing and then starts charging the car. And that'll charge the car at 2.4 kilowatts. It'll charge the Tesla at about 2.4 kilowatts because that's the maximum amount of power you can get out of a 10 amp power supply. Usually wouldn't recommend running a great big long cheap extension cord like this to operate it. You're better off using a bit more high quality extension cord than that, or going straight into a 10 amp socket on the wall. So that's the 10 amp tail. I can pop that out and I can pop in a 15 amp tail and do much the same thing. Again from a 15 amp supply. If I stick that in now, I can do the same. I can charge this car off of a 15 amp supply as well. That'll give me a bit more, like a whole 50% more. So 3.4 kilowatts. We use that quite often in caravan parks because caravan parks often have 15 amp, or they do have 15 amp power supplies on the posts. We use that for charging both the car and the caravan. I'll explain more about the caravan in another video. Yeah, so we use that quite a lot. This gadget with a 15 amp socket on it is probably good enough for most people to charge their car at home. You don't really need a 32 amp socket like what I've got here. 15 amps would get you most people their daily commute easily overnight. So it's quite an inexpensive way out. I'm not sure how much it costs to get a 15 amp plug installed in your garage, but this gadget is $550 from Tesla. And as you can see, it's fairly versatile. We can use 10 amps, we can use 15 amps. We can also charge the Atto with it. It is Tesla branded, but it does charge the Atto. So the last thing I want to show you about this guy is that for the princely sum of $120, you can buy one of these guys, which is the same thing. You can plug it into the end, and now this adapts straight to the 32 amp socket. So when I plug that in here, I can charge the Atto at the same 7 kilowatts that the Atto could get out of the cones charger. Okay, so the 32 amp three-phase supply, the maximum charge rate that the Tesla can get is 11 kilowatts. The maximum charge rate that the Atto can get is only 7 kilowatts because it's only drawing on the one phase. So if you're getting an Atto or any car that can only charge on single phase, there's no point in getting a three-phase system installed in your house. A 32 amp socket is plenty. A 15 amp socket is still probably plenty. This is a fast DC charger. This one's got a couple of different outlets on it. It's got a CHAdeMO on it. I don't know why they bothered to install a CHAdeMO because there's like 4 cars in Australia that use that and they no longer sell them. This guy is CCS2, which you recognise is the same sort of layout as the boot DC that we were using back at the time. To operate these things, they're all fairly much the same. We plug ourselves in, and then they've sorry, I've taken the glasses off. And then they've got an app. This one's the Amp Charger app. Usually you can press the button and it brings us in on where we are on the map. Can you see that? It shows where we are on the map. We click on that, we pick out which one we're using, and we go start charging, and that'll start billing me at 69 cents a kilowatt hour, and away we go. And that'll charge the car quite fast. This one's 150 kilowatts, so I don't know, the car was like 40% when we got here, 50%, 40%, so we'll be 20 minutes and then it'll be full again. Superchargers are even easier. You just pull up and plug them in and they charge even faster. Yeah, so these things, we just plugged in to just literally to show you guys. Didn't really need to charge here. We started out at 40%. We're now at 56%, and all we've done is like literally gone into the servo and bought ice cream and a treat, and that's 15% on the car. It's actually working a bit slow at the minute, but that's all right. These things, this particular one is right at the bottom of the hill in a suburban area. It's a silly place for them. They really should be out on the highway, because people around town just don't need to use these things, not regularly anyway. And this is a Type 2 to Type 2 charger. Well, sorry, it's a Type 2 charger. This is a Type 2 to Type 2 cable, so it's got an end that goes into the car, and it's got an end that goes into this gadget up here. Stick that in there. So these things are installed in all the WA EV network and also across the RAA network in South Australia as a backup system, or a backup option in case the fast DCs are not working, which is a great idea. These things can charge similarly to the 32 amp plug. They can charge up to 11 kilowatts into here, or 22 kilowatts if your car can accept it. This particular one is only limited to 7. Is only limited to 7 kilowatts, so it must only be connected on phase 1, and it's free. So there we go. I just need to get into the app to turn it on, and away we go. This one's, I'd say, is in a really good location. It's right next to the DFO at the shopping centre. So we can come in here, plug in the car, go in and do our shopping, and come back, and the car will be topped up. Okay, so we finished our little bit of shopping. The car's gone from 41 to 50% in that not very long that we were in the shopping centre. That's the last of the charging types that we'll show you on this video. But the Type 2 to Type 2 cable, I would suggest as a road trip essential, just as a backup, because this is the backup option. If the DCs are not working and those sorts of things, get you out of trouble. We very rarely used it on our trip. I think we used it once, and that was just while we rang ChargeFox to reboot one of the DCs. But it's a nice little backup option.